All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this beautiful planet. Welcome to the Inner Circle Live pre-New York session. I'm your host for this morning's session, Benny Allen, along with my awesome partner, Mr. Ryan Carthage. And we're definitely happy and grateful for each and every one of you being here with us this morning as we take a look at the technicals and the fundamentals to see what we could take advantage of in this Forex market. So without further ado, let's make sure that we turn off any and all distractions. Grab a pen and paper, take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. If you all can hear me loud and clear, please do me a huge favor, drop me a 1 in the chat. Let me know that you're ready to go on this Friday, January 26, 2024. We're at the end of the first month already in 2024. Where does the time go, right? So let's make sure, right, that we have a strong foundation as we get ready for our trading day. Let's take massive action. Make sure that we're accepting all possible losses before entering the trade, preparing you for any outcome. Let's make sure that we center ourselves in body, mind, and spirit, ensuring a balanced approach to trading. Let's trust in our education, strategy, trading skills, and intuition. And let's imagine our trades successfully materializing. Let's make sure that we obey our trading strategies, avoiding decisions based on greed or fear. Let's make sure that we're never looking back. That's the big one, right? Or stopping once your trade has commenced. So I hope everybody is doing well. Hope your Friday has gotten off to a great start. So as we head towards the weekend, so let me close out of this. We will go over, take a look at the Forex factory because we got some key data that came out yesterday. So in the Eurozone, right, it was projected that they were going to hold rates, okay? And that's exactly what they did, right? So the forecast was 4.5. They came in at 4.5, held it just like they said. And then if we go down to the ECB press conference, we can see that Lagarde gave some forward guidance here, and she stood by her comments on a likely summer rate cut, right? So bets are off for the ECB in March. No rate cuts are gonna happen anytime soon, as we saw yesterday. Um, but in the summer, we're looking at a likely summer rate cut. I said March. We had that yesterday. I'm thinking of the Fed, but so we can see here likely summer rate cut. We could click here on X, and we can see some notes from Lagarde yesterday. The economy likely stagnated in Q4. Lagarde data signal weakens near term. Lagarde also says survey points to growth pick up further ahead. And then here on financial juice, they picked up Lagarde said that December inflation rebound was weaker than expected. So looking to possibly cut rates in the summer. So we'll see what happens with that. So if we click back and then we go yesterday to the United States advanced GDP, the economy just keeps rocking and rolling, right? So the unemployment claims came through a little higher than expected. 199 was expected, came through at 214. But the advanced GDP, quarter over quarter came through at 3.3%. The projection was 2.0. So definitely better than expected here in the United States. So the economy continues to be resilient, right? So if we click over, we take a look at the dollar index notes on trading economics. We see that the dollar steadied around 103.5 on Friday as investors avoided making big bets ahead of key inflation report that can provide clues on the direction of U.S. interest rates. Meanwhile, the dollar gained some ground on Thursday after data showed the U.S. economy remained resilient despite the higher borrowing costs. That's what's amazing, right? It grew to 3.3% year on year in the fourth quarter, way above 2%, which we just covered. The Federal Reserve is widely expected to hold the rate steady when it meets next week, but traders will also zero in on Fed Chair Jerome Powell's remarks for hints on the start of an easing cycle. Elsewhere, the euro depreciated after the European Central Bank held rates steady as widely expected, but traders piled on bets that it will start cutting rates in April, right? In April for the ECB. Now, we just heard that Lagarde said we won't see them until the summer, right? So again, we have that discrepancy, right? Different viewpoints from what the market is seeing and what the central bankers are seeing. But what I will say, especially coming through last year, uh, that I tend to lean on the side of the banks, the central banks, right? Especially when it comes to the Fed and so far with the ECB as well. So that's where we are on the US dollar today. We've got that core PCE coming through, right? So why is that important? Let's talk about it, right? So the PCE differs from the CPI in that it only measures goods and services targeted towards targeted towards and consumed by individuals. Prices are weighed according to total expenditure per item, which gives important insights into consumer spending behavior. CPI is released about 10 days earlier and tends to garner most of the attention. But this report is the Fed's primary inflation measure. Okay, and then we know that inflation is important to currency valuation because rising prices lead to the central bank to raise interest rates out of respect for the inflation containment mandate. Right? So we're not so much talking about raising them now, it's how long they're going to hold rates before they actually cut them. So these reports are very, 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 very important. All right. Um, Make sure everybody else has control of their mic. All right. So that's the fundamentals. Clicking back to trading economics, we can see that German consumer morale unexpectedly drops, right? And so we've got the total opposite here in the States, right, where we saw an increase in consumer morale. All right. So Germany, the largest player in the Eurozone. That's why it's always important to follow their data. Okay. Here we have a reported projection from Trading Economics that the United States PCE price is seen as rising 0.2%. So we'll see how that comes out today once that report drops. All right. Any questions regarding the fundamentals? Nope. All right. Appreciate it. So just taking a look at the DXY, right? Still hovering around, doing its thing. See what happens when that PCE report. We need a catalyst with that dollar, right? So we got a good move yesterday with the GDP, but it seems like everybody kind of held back a little bit, waiting on this PCE data to come out today. So we'll see what that does to the US dollar. So this morning, I want to give you all an opportunity to, if there's any pairs, right, before I jump to what I normally do, are there any pairs that you guys have in your mind that you want to take a look at right out the gate? Pound Swissy, okay. Let's take a look at gold, GJ, okay. Gold and GJ, all right, and Euro CAD. We'll take a look at that. It's 30. So let me see. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at that first. And let's get this thing going. Ryan, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, bro. I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good, man. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
The weekend is upon us. That and all the rest of the mixed data that's been coming out all week. So
Man.
it's been a back and forth month, man, to start the year, but kind of can't say I'm surprised by it coming out of last year and all these projections on when rate cuts are going to happen. So
Yeah.
kind of makes sense. Anything out there fundamentally that you're keeping an eye on?
Um that Tokyo inflation came in below expectation
Yeah.
for Japan. So did you cover that? I would
Nope.
assume.
Nope.
No. So it came in below expectation. So that's causing a little back and forth conversation with Japan, but that back and forth conversation obviously is expected. But it gives the Bank of Japan um, a little bit of ease. right? Saying that they're not at that stable 2% yet. So we could see some continued back and forth on some of the yens because some of the inflation numbers from Tokyo primarily are coming a little bit below expectation for the month of January.
Yeah, back and forth indeed. That yen, man. That yen can give you a headache. Give you a
Yeah,
headache. That is the Swissy, right? Because of I mean, just the way it operates. A lot of people call it, well, a lot of people say it's manipulation because they have their hands on it so much, but uh, I just think it is what it is. You know,
yeah,
um, central banks operate differently. You know, so they do what they need to do. For their economies, what they feel is best. So I don't tend to go as far as to say that like it's manipulated. It's what they do. You know, so. We'll continue to keep an eye, but like you said, that does lean, towards the BOJ in their argument, right?
yep, yep.
Yeah,
Not ready yet.
yeah, not ready yet. And that's how it was all of last year. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that. That makes some of those correction plays tough. But hey, it is what it is. So let's take a look at this pound Swissy right out the gate. See what we got going on, right? So we can see that we've been bullish, right? We saw earlier in the week some weakness in the Swissy. And we can see, right, how last week, we saw last few weeks, right? That pound get bullish against the Swiss, but now we've got some indecision, right? But what that is we come and take a look at the daily, and you can see, right, we're getting close to a daily resistance level. As a matter of fact, we formed a high there, right? So if we come in and we put in our smart resistance, you can see we've got another level that formed here. Okay. We see our daily stochastic, right, is overbought. Right? So when we talk about we can have, right, that slowdown in momentum. Okay. Like so. So we'll take that down now. Right. And this is our daily time frame. We don't have a new swing low yet or anything like that. You can see, right? Just smooth running, right? To the downside there. No real level. So price is looking like it wants to correct. Right? It's just the natural way of things. And so if we come down to the 4, we're just in the middle of a correction. Right? Looking like we're trying to make an ABCD wave to the downside. We haven't retested the backside of this trend line yet. So we've got to enter the outer trend line break. We got to the edge of the long-term trend line. See there? And we run into that resistance level now. That was created resistance, right? And so if we're looking to remain long at some point, we have to look at our trade plans and say, is this in my sweet spot? Right? If a 382 is your sweet spot, then yes. But if it's not, then we're still waiting on that to decline. It's not coming out of the 80-20 zone, so we're not shorting it per se. Right? Unless you short off the B boundary, which you could. Right? Which you could. But what we're looking for is we're trying to get a deeper correction on this pound Swiss. And that's how I'm seeing that. So right now, for me, in regards to an initial entry on this or adding to a position, I'm in no man's land right now, right, on that. So that needs to pull back a little bit more for me to entertain it, okay? Any questions on that?
So, Benny, can you go back to your daily and put a fib on the last leg?
Yeah. Mhm.
Now, is this supposed to represent the 4 hour, right? When it's
But
small like this?
no,
When
no, that's representing the daily. That's what happened.
okay.
Yeah, that's your daily. Now you can see how, right, we should have a new fib pop in there, right? That just hasn't occurred yet, right? If you're using the fib on a daily like that, but you can see you already have it formed. Smaller wave is the 4, right? So we already have it on the 4. So we're
Okay.
just looking for a downside correction there. Mhm.
Okay. And then because the only reason why I was figuring that this to be bearish only because my prime fib is bearish and it's still active. So I was just trying to get an understanding.
Yeah. So we've been bullish. So right now, we have to say that, in a short term, like if we have a bearish move, because it's been uptrending, right? Look at all the green candles, that if we see a bearish move, that's a retracement right now.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we're in a situation where this pattern is retracing now. Right. And so we look for a low price to get long. So that's what it's telling me, right? So we're getting held up at these levels again. Okay. So we'll see if that pound can remain bullish. So we're in an up retracement zone. All right. Yeah. Yep. So we've got to wait and see. But so far, that's support, right? That's been a good move. That's been a good move. Okay. Inner, outer, long-term trend line. Okay. It's made this move. All right. All right. Oh, you like trading the B boundary, and yeah. You just have to determine, what your confirmations are going to be and where you're going to place your stop off the B boundary. But yeah, we know that we draw that up as one of our zones, right? I just filter mines out to where I don't trade it too often. B boundary moves, but it's tradable, right? Because that B boundary represents what? A resistance level, right? So you can play that the same. You can play that the same, as anything else, like how we play that 80-20, especially right when you've got is representing structure there, right? When we get that swing higher form, which gives us that B boundary, right? You can see a correction over that. So those are playable, sure, right? So here, if you made a B boundary play, that's just one that you would have lost right there. Depending on how you had your stop or how you used your confirmations, to get into the trade, that was a possibility that reversed on you and you didn't get it. But those are playable. Right? Those are playable. You said plus the 80-20 for life. Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. So that's that on the pound. So the second one that we had was gold. So let's go take a look at it. Right. So we've been bullish, right? But we're right back at this level. Man, does it struggle at that level. Okay. Really struggles at that level. So we've got a correction now. So we can see here, just on this last, right, we're on the weekly chart that we've definitely been bullish and we're correcting right now. Okay. So we come down, we take a look at the daily. Just looking in this range, right? I just start playing this by looking at the levels, and you can see that we're holding up here. At daily support. You guys see that? And we're starting to build some momentum. Now, we've got PCE data coming out for the United States, right? Which a lot of people are waiting on. That's coming out today. So we'll see how that impacts it. But that's holding, right? Again, my long-term bias on gold is long. But we'll see. Here we're still holding, right? Again, you come down to the 4-hour where you have more candles, right? So you have a low, and you can see how that's trying to confirm, right? That support is holding. It's holding pretty strong there. Right. So this is the longer move. We got the initial break and it came down and it's moving sideways. Right. But you can see how we're holding above that level. Okay. So if we come to the 1, right, we can see how get this out of here now. Mark up. We can see how we've broken the inner trend line. We've just been moving sideways, but we see we're trying to slowly build some momentum, right? That report should have an impact on this today on gold. So I'm remaining, bullish on gold. the dollar, right? When it's kind of moving and still, it's just holding around that one level, the dollar key level. So it can make it a little bit tough, but I'm thinking overall, I'm still thinking long on gold, right? And we know how it can be a timing thing, right? It could be a timing thing. So that's why, as long as I'm holding that AB boundary, that's what I'm thinking for right now. All right. Questions on that? Oh, good.
Oh,
All
good.
right. All right. So let's take a look at, we had a request for the pound yen. Pound yen. So you know what? Let's clear this out. All right. Yeah, let me get a fresh markup on this pound yen data. So we'll start at the top, and we know that we use our monthly and our weekly chart interchangeably, right? So let's start out. I want to get a fresh look on this because I know on a 4 hour, we drew all over that chart while we were working on a technical lesson. So let's redo it. All right. So here's our monthly. We can see, right, that's moving bullish overall. Okay. But let's mark it up. So we want to make sure that we mark our high and our low, right? Extreme high and extreme low. And again, this is our monthly chart. Okay. So we are zooming out. Like we always say, it is hard to see the picture when you're inside the frame. So we've got to get outside the frame. Okay. We have to get out the weeds. Okay, so that's our extreme high and low. We're going to use the cool Smart Trader tool and mark our smart support and resistance to make this easy, right? This is why we can go through so many charts and mark up, 25 plus pairs, because we use a little bit of technology. Okay. Now we know we have the trained eye now. We know how to identify support and resistance where our swing highs and swing lows, but this just makes it a little bit easier for us. Okay. So I'm going to make that long-term level. I'm even going to take this level below here. Just like that. And again, this is a monthly chart. Okay. So we're going to drop our chart down to our weekly time frame. Okay. See if we have any weekly levels coming into play. Okay. And so we're bullish. So I'm going to mark this because this is more so a zone. We've got a monthly level right up above there, but we do have a weekly level creeping in. Okay. And take this one here. Like so. Okay. So now we are going to a little bit like that. Now we're going to remove our support and resistance. And we can see where we are. Okay. We can swing a fib off this low just to see, if we're getting close to any extensions. And you can see here that we've got a new AB boundary. This is at a 236. This is from a weekly chart. Okay. To see if we're closing in on anything. Right. So looks like we're headed. We just took this level out here. Okay. So I'm actually going to plug that in like that. Take that. All right. So we haven't hit an extension or anything like that. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to take all of these levels from my monthly, my weekly. We're going to link all objects and go down to the lower time frame. Okay. We're going to come to the daily chart and we're going to do the same thing. Right. We're going to see if we have any support and resistance levels. You see there, we've got a daily support. And we put our resistance in, we're right there in that zone, right? So we formed a new high there. So we're going to mark that in red. So what that's telling us, right? We know support and resistance isn't just a line. We more so do that just for aesthetics, right? To keep our charts clean. But we know in essence it's a zone. All right. So we're in a resistance zone. So that's our support and resistance from the daily. We can take these off now. We've linked those down to the lower time frames. Okay. And we can scroll down, right? We can find it's running off this low. So we're looking at on the daily as far as the fib. And we see we've been in this zone for quite some time. So we got a 236 retracement. We broke the B boundary. So we know that as we break and we get above, right, this 188.96 level, we get above this zone, we're going to be in an 80-20 area. Okay, we're going to have an 80-20 scenario. So we'll see, right? This has kind of been, right, how it's been moving within this range here. Bottom to top, top to bottom, we just pushed the right back to the top of that range. Stochastics in the sell zone. Okay. So hey, maybe we're due for a correction and a continuation. We shall see. We'll continue to watch the fundamentals to see how things are impacted. All right, what the catalyst may be for that. But right now, we know we're at a key level here on the daily. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I want to mark this low. Like so. And I'm going to bring this down to the 4 to get an idea of what we're looking like on the 4. Okay. So I've got my monthly, weekly, and daily levels. Now, if you prefer to mark your 4-hour levels up on your chart, you can. You know, your 1 hour, you could mark, you know, as many different time frame levels up as you choose to do so, right? But I'm going to scroll back and go to find that low. And I'm going to start running my fibs to the upside. Okay. And we're going to bring them forward. Okay. And we can see here where, see how there's no longer any fibs running because it took out our A right here. So we're going to run it from this low because we know we're uptrending. Okay. And we can see how we start moving sideways and we got choppy. So we're just going to keep running it across the lows until we find our next active fib. Okay. So we know here, right? Something had to happen. So we're going to find this low. Okay, skip ahead a little bit. And now we're coming to our active fib sequence. And we can see that we've gotten a 382 retracement. Price is moving sideways, but it's still moving in an upward trajectory, right? So we're at a key level. Okay. We are at a key level. And if we break through that level, we're going to head to that D extension. We also know that from the higher time frame, if we break through this level, then we head to an 80-20 zone, right? So it may be due for a major correction there. All right, so here is the new low. Like this. This in March. Link down to my 1 hour. Right? Because we know everybody's different, right? We trade on different charts. Okay. So I'm going to squeeze things down to find where that new low is. So run our fibs from there. There we go. All right. So we'll squeeze it down. We see that we got an A taken out. So we're just going to keep running it across the lows. So we know that we have smart analytics tools now where it could just find your most recent fib, but this is how we manually do it, right? It's how we were fundamentally taught before the new add-ons came out, but this is good practice, right? To help you see and get a better understanding of the waves in the market and how they play out through the time frames. So we're just going to keep going until we find that low. One, and oops, right connect there, and here's our most recent, like that. There. Okay. So that's what it looks like, right? All the way from the top down, and this is where we are. So if you took a shot on that at resistance, right, you're still in profit right now. It's just moving sideways. If you're looking for a buy, if you're on a 1-hour chart and you're looking for a buy on a GJ, you want to see this move down, right? It's the same game, right? We want to see this move down into our buy zone. Then we want to look for confirmation to get long, right? After we get a discounted price. But if you're in this and you played this at like as an 80-20 out of that zone, right? I mean, it came down as choppy as it is, right? So out of the top of that zone, that daily resistance level came down 170. Now it's bounced back to 64. Right. So what you're trying to do, if you're playing an 80-20, what you're trying to do is get back to that 382. But we're just moving sideways. We're just moving sideways. We'll see if that how the market reacts to the data that's coming out today, the PCE data, even though it's for the US, right? We know that it can have a broader impact on the markets, okay, when that report comes out. So let's just see. Right now, we are moving sideways, but that is your top down, right? All the way from the monthly, all the way down to the 1 hour. Okay, so taking a look back at that 4, right? You can see where we are. Okay, so when you're looking at the 1 hour, you're just zooming in on this leg here. That's all you're doing. Okay, so we're at key level, right? If you never put a fib on your chart, you know that you're at a key level of resistance, and we either need to break and retest that level, or we're going to correct further to the downside, which if you're playing at 80-20 on the 1, that's what you needed to do. You need this level to hold and then continue to move down. Any questions on that? You're welcome, Dana. No? Good?
Oh, good.
All right. All right. So moving on. We're going to take a look at this EuroCAD. Right, this is whipping around, right? So we can see her off this weekly chart, right? How that moved bearish off that level, right? So kind of from the weekly, we're playing in a range. You see that? At the top of that range, we dropped off. Look at that evening star there. Decision, indecision, decision to the downside. So right now we're neutral to bearish on this Euro CAD. And we were looking to play that correction in the lower time frames. But you guys can see how this is pretty nasty right now. We're at the bottom of that range, right? We hit the bottom of that range. It's tighter range here, right? You can see you got that pin, right? We're trying to push long, but you get whipsawed around, right? Because of the strength of the currencies. So this one, right, is just in a range. That's all. Still within that zone. We hadn't got back to that 382, but you can see how we've moved back to the bottom of that range. So if we're not gonna, ranges become simple, right? Once you reach the bottom, if you get a new confirmed low, then we're looking to move right back up to the top, right, of the range. This is range bound, right? If I took the fib off, you have a larger range, on your weekly, but then here, this is a tighter range that we're playing in, okay? So now it's just a matter on the 4, we don't have a confirmed low yet. Stochastics, right, way oversold. But if we form a low here, then we look for the opportunity, right? We have to just follow past history, right? Once it gets to the bottom of this range, we get a move to the upside until it proves otherwise, till it breaks through that 145.63 daily level. We look for this to move back long, right? So we look for at some point, right, the market to start making up ABCD waves, okay? And so you just zoom in and you just focus where you are right now, okay? Trade what you see right now. Okay, so this is a tight range. So if I'm looking at this leg here and move to the downside and found support, I can now start to move down to like my 15, right? That was an 80-20 there that collapsed. Look at that. We didn't even get a bounce at TP2. It just kept running. So if I clear this out, it's an old scenario. And we focus in on what's occurring now. We come into a support zone. So what we could do here, right? So we're in between these levels is now I can say, all right, well, if this is going to hold as support, right, to the lowest point. Now what I'm looking for is if this is going to continue, then I'm looking to play ABCD waves. Am I going to buy this now? No. If I think this is continuing bullish off that daily support zone, then this is an ABCD wave that is in now. So here was the initial move. That pull back there, boom, right? That's the move, right? That's already up 30 pips. But what I need to do now is see if I'm going to get this D-extension hit. If I get that D-extension hit, then I just wait for the next setup, right? Price moves to the D, see if we can get beyond that outer trend line, get a new AB boundary to form, and then we look to see if it wants to correct and then move back towards the top of that range. Okay? And if it wants to do the opposite, that's okay because I have a stop loss. Okay? If it wants to turn over and break that 145.63, then my idea was just wrong and it's just going to continue lower. That's it. Any questions on the EuroCAD? All right, a lot of back and forth. Europe been showing some strength, right? Then we had the news yesterday. They held rates, caused a decline. But then we also had where the Canadian dollar had been a bit weak. We had a boost in the oil price, right? So it's just getting whipsawed right now. It's just getting whipsawed. All right. So we're just looking for, right, a clear trend to emerge. Okay? So that's how you could play the range. All right, that is that on the EuroCAD. We wanted to take a look at the US 30. Okay. Hey, So this is where we are. We've taken out, look, let's move back out to the monthly. Look at that. Just running. Okay. Just running. All right. We have an election upon us here in the United States. It's hard to run on the idea that the economy is doing horrible. It's a hard thing to do with the way things are looking right now. Okay. So bullish. Daily, bullish. Isn't that something? Look. Okay. A, B, C. Somebody tell me, right? We get a 786 pullback. What's our D extension going to be? Any takers? 127. That's it. 127 came into the monthly. D extension was hit. Once the new high forms after the D extension is hit, see how it ran? So it hit it and kept running. Once the new high forms, we have our new B boundary. It's retesting at 37,833 now. Right? It is trying to form a low. It's trying to form a base there. Past resistance becomes future support. We are moving bullish. We are moving bullish. Still has some momentum to the upside. But let's see what happens with that PCE data that comes in. Okay. Here we are. 4 hour. We ranged at that 80-20 zone, and then we broke it. So from a 4 hour perspective, right, this may be one where look at how that's holding. That's beautiful. Right? So in essence, we got range bound at that level. And now we're retesting the top side of that range. Break and a retest. So we may, right, depending on, the data, we may be, right, about to run into a D extension eventually there. But we shall see. So we've got a little bit range bound, haven't we, around that level, which makes sense. Look at that deep correction. We got an 8.6 retracement. The market took back 86% of what it gained to the upside. And then it hit that little energy trampoline, hit that 37.93, 37.09, I mean, 0.93. And then we came right into that extension. And now, okay, on this 1 hour, we're in the 80-20 zone and we're ranging. Let's see what happens with the data. Questions on the US 30. It has indeed been bullish.
No, sir.
Right. So let's wait and see what's going to happen. All right. Waves everywhere, right? So even in this tight range, you see how it came into the bottom of the range? And you see how it made this move going up, right? Can't make this stuff up. So no matter what time frame you trade it on, right? Just look for the waves. Let's take a look at the S&P, right? Might as well. We know that we came into a D extension. Right? Daily, we completed an ABCD wave. Okay. And what that lets me know is like, hey, I'm not looking to buy, right? I'm not looking to, but we just ran into an extension, not looking to buy. We're waiting for a swing higher to form so we could form a new AB boundary on the daily. Okay. Right. It's just a timing thing. And at some point it's gonna correct. It'll correct, right? The buyer's only gonna push it so high to where, it's way beyond fair value, right? So here on the 4, we already have, right? So you can see, we just saw the US 30. This is what's so cool about these indices, right? Is, you can see the same pattern, right? So we saw the same price action pattern on the US 30, right? Very similar, very similar. So get this out of here. And we can see how we've got a new AB boundary now. We hit a daily extension. We got a new AB boundary on the 4. At some point, we'll look to correct. Maybe once we get up to this 118, 127 zone, right? But that's not my area to buy, right? It becomes very simple when you have filters in a trade plan. If I'm trading my 4-hour chart, I'm not buying off that level. That's not my thing. If you have some built out to where you do that, then that's what you do, right? I need price to correct to get long. Okay, so we get paid to wait, everybody. We get paid to wait. Don't give unnecessary money back to the market, right? Get caught in the wrong direction. Okay, so if we come here and we take a look at the 1, we can see on the 1, you're right in the 80-20 zone. Okay. So just be patient, right? What that is telling me is I'm just not about to go all in gangbusters on the buy. Just not. Okay, just not. Okay, the momentum may be slowing to the upside. Okay, that's that. Any questions on the S&P?
No, sir.
All right. Uh, while we're at it, done that. So let's while we're at it, let's look at oh, there it is. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ. Right. Oh, this one I was redoing. So let's do it. Right. Look at that. So we don't even have an established high. We broke through, right? We broke through it. We have a low. We haven't formed a new high on the weekly yet. So this is just running. This is amazing, right? To be alive at this time and see this stuff happening. Right? It's fascinating. Okay, so of course we're not gonna have resistance. Support. Yes. Go. Let's move down to the weekly. We're at an exhaustion point, right? Put in a new high, that makes sense. So put some weekly levels in. Right? It's that. We can see that This was the level that it just broke through. So I'm going to plug that in like so. Take this down to the daily. And you can see, right, that if we close lower, right, then this is going to be our new high. That's going to be our new high. So let's see, right? Put our levels in. Bring that down. Like so. And it's going to be it. And we'll zoom out and we'll find our low. Right? You all see how you can really do some damage in the market, right? Just looking at your support and resistance levels, right? Determining your directional bias and looking for breaks and retests. Okay. So you definitely want to you don't skip over this step, right? Don't skip over your top-down analysis. All right. We're hitting extensions all over the place. Look how impulsive the market's been. Look at the strength of the buy side. Ran right through that extension. Right. So let's go down to the 4. Okay. Here's the low. And there we are. Okay. Right. So you look at, right, this is the third indice, right? You can see similar price action. You can see how price has been accelerating to the upside. We're taking out major levels. So this is where we are on the 4. Okay. So we're approaching the 80-20 zone. We know that on the daily, price exhausted, right? We hit an extension. So now, right, if I'm looking to buy, it becomes, you put yourself, the way we mark up our charts, you put yourself consistently in the same scenario across all currency pairs, right? Doesn't matter the asset class, right? You're going to be looking, right, at the same thing in regards to, right, the type of setups that we're looking for in the zones that we like to trade. Okay. So maybe, right, we push up into that 80-20 zone, and then maybe it's correction time from there. Okay. Back down. Okay. We shall see. But right now, we know that we are bullish. Okay. Any questions on the NASDAQ? All right. We're coming running off to 1. It's gonna be interesting to watch the price action on these with the PCE data. But there's your 80-20 zone that was hit there. And you can see how you got the short. Haven't made it back to the 382, but that's a good pickup just on that price action that occurred. You got the reaction out of that zone. So I wonder if that's going to turn over and move down. We'll see what happens there. All right, that's the NASDAQ. Right. And I got time for one more pair, right? Anybody have another pair that they're looking at? And I'm gonna write that down, Ethereum. I don't have it. I'm gonna write that down, Ethereum. I don't have it. Where do I? Hold on one second. If I don't have it, I won't be able to do it today. I don't have time to bring it up, do a top down on it. I do not. I used to have it. Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. All right. Let's take a look at it. See if I do only do. Oh, I've got all the charts on it. Okay. So let's take a look at it. Right, moving bullish right off the weekly. Right, it's correcting now, but look, right, made a nice move. All right. So that's where we are right now, right? So we had, right, prices ranging, right? We broke out and then we came right back in the range. So I wonder, right, if we're going to work our way back to retest that 21-22 level, or if we're going to start moving up from here. But you can see clearly that you got a reaction out of the 80-20 zone on the daily. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Does the same thing. So here we are on the 4. Let me go back and track this low. You already got it. You need that low. So, right, this is your 4-hour. It's come right back into that range. But that's a nice wave there, and that's a nice low. Right, we're ranging right now. Let's see what happens. Again, right, we've got that data coming out today, that PCE data for the United States. And that's what Ethereum is paid against, though, is the dollar. So let's see what happens. But this could be a deep night correction play that moves up from here off the 4. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Seemed like it wanted to go back and retest that 21-22 level, but it may make the U-turn. So that's Ethereum. So overall bullish, right? It's just our timing on it. But that's a good discount, right? That's at 86% right there. So maybe draw your trend line, take it down to your lower time frame, draw your trend line. If we break out to the upside, we break out at the top of this range, then you look for pullback. So on your lower time frame, right? On your lower time frame, you'd be looking for a breakout and a pullback to then get involved on it, right? If you're not just going to take it at that level and play the probability from there. All right. So that is, you said set it and forget it. Oh, yeah, trade it at 0.01. Oh, yeah. Well, that's a decent risk to reward there, right? For it to be in that zone. But again, see what happens after that data. All right. Take a quick look at oil. Okay. right? Bullish off that support, off the weekly, right? We found the floor. Oil's getting back long again. Okay. Looking at the daily, we're coming to a key level. There, an extension there. Here we are on the 4. Right, the latest move to the upside. We got a 382 there. Right. So we have to see. We have to see. It's a nice leg up. Got a 382 bounce. I wonder if this is going to form a low and continue. Kind of a wait and see. Here we are on the 1. Right. So if we were looking to buy, right, it could be off of this level here. Right. So maybe if Forex CL is retesting this B boundary, kind of coming down off that 4-hour idea to where it may push up. And if we do, we push into our 80-20 zone at 77.61 daily resistance, then maybe we get a correction, right? So maybe we get something like this, right? And then a move back down. Right? So that would be an 80-20 play. And then if you're just waiting for a low price, right? Waiting for a low price, then this would be an ideal area in that zone. So, and that Ethereum, right? See this previous move on oil? See how it's sitting at that 8.6 right there? And then it took off, right? That's what you would hope would happen with Ethereum. That would be a huge move if it made the U-turn from where it's at. Now you see how it ranged a little bit, then it broke out on oil. That's what you're kind of looking for on that Ethereum play, right? Because that's a high risk to reward, 86% on the retracement. Put your stop below the A and then see if it takes off. If not, look for additional confirmation on your lower time frames. That's that. Ryan, anything before we close out today, sir?
Bro, great session, man. I don't have anything to add. Appreciate you, man.
All right. Hey, everybody, enjoy the rest of your Friday, and we will see everybody 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Forex Weekly Ritual to take a quick recap of what happened this week and to move on and prepare for the upcoming week. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Welcome.